You are listening to the Advocates of Aging podcast. This podcast is produced by the ABA Commission on Law and Aging. Listen to hear interviews and stories on topics related to law and aging, including best practice tips for professionals and career advice. Age is not just a number, it is an opportunity for growth and fulfillment. These episodes will explore the hurdles people face when aging, as well as opportunities for improving advocacy and strengthening the legal rights of others.
Hi, I'm Jessica Brock, here along with Erica Costello. We're with the American Bar Association's Commission on Law and Aging. You are listening to our Advocates of Aging podcast. Today, our guest is Caroline Manley. Caroline Manley has served as the Center for Disability and Elder Law's Executive Director since September of 2019. As Executive Director, Caroline is responsible for the strategic direction of the organization and maintains strong relationships with CDEL's many supporters. Caroline began her legal career at CDEL by starting CDEL's community clinics through a Borchard Foundation Fellowship, followed by an Equal Justice Works Fellowship. Caroline has represented clients in CDEL's full range of civil legal services, including housing, end-of-life planning, family law, and collections defense. She later served as CDEL's supervising attorney before moving into her current role. A complete copy of Caroline's bio will be provided in the notes on our website. Welcome, Caroline. We are very excited to talk to you today. Thank you for taking time to be with us and share your work in the field of law and aging.
Thank you for having me.
So, would you tell us about yourself and your career, how you ended up where you are right now?
Sure. So I have always loved working with older adults, even when I was a kid. When I was in Girl Scouts, I would always choose to go and volunteer at the nursing home. And when I volunteered at a hospital, I worked on their geriatric wing. And so it's just always been a group that I've really enjoyed working with. And when I graduated from undergrad, I joined an organization in Chicago, a nonprofit called Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly. And there I was basically a case manager for 50 socially isolated older adults. And I always say it was like having 50 grandparents. And through that, I got to see all of the different challenges that people were facing, from housing insecurity to not having anyone to serve as their power of attorney, to needing guardianship. And so that really solidified for me that I wanted to go to law school and that I wanted to work in the elder law area. So I went to law school with an extremely focused goal of being a public interest elder law attorney, and was really, really fortunate that's what I've been able to do really ever since I graduated from law school. I've been at the Center for Disability and Elder Law.
That's terrific. Um, can you pinpoint maybe what made you interested in this area of law, or what about older adults appeals to you? Like, why are you drawn to that community of people?
I think for me, it's just getting to hear people's life experiences, and by the time people are older adults, having so many different life experiences, and that it's just something that I've always really enjoyed doing. But so I just have always really liked the population. And again, I'm not even sure exactly what it is, because it's been the case for me since I was a kid. But then certainly when I thought about going to law school, I had thought about that in undergrad, and always thought that I'd want to do something public interest related. And I think my mind kind of defaulted to that would involve working with kids. And so that's what I thought like a career in public interest law would look like. And then when I was working at Little Brothers and just kind of saw all the things that the people I worked with there needed, it was this great collaboration of two interests that I had. And then when I was in law school, I was really fortunate to be able to have a number of different internship opportunities, from working with the Cook County State's Attorney here in Chicago. They had a special unit for when the victim was either an older adult or a person with a disability, to going to DC one summer and working with AARP Foundation litigation, and then as a third-year law student working at the Center for Disability and Elder Law. And what I kind of determined is that I wanted that direct civil legal service work, and really enjoyed the time that I spent at CEDL during my third year, which is what inspired the fellowship applications that I'd done and allowed me to join CEDL as a staff member when I graduated from law school, and I've been here ever since.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It sounds like you had some really great and unique opportunities while you were in law school. So, what exactly do you see as your role in the current position that you have in the field of aging?
Yeah, well, one, I think that we have, as an organization, a big teaching role. So one thing that's a little bit unique about CEDL is that our mission is to serve older adults and people with disabilities with their civil legal needs, but also to cultivate pro bono volunteerism within the Chicagoland legal community. And so we have a huge internship program at CEDL. We are usually having anywhere between 10 and 15 interns 3 times a year. So each semester and over the summer. And so we are onboarding people all the time and teaching them and kind of helping, I think, create an interest in the aging field, and helping people with, how you can best serve and communicate with older adults. And so as my career has gone on, and in the role that I'm in now, I think a big part of my role is to really be an advocate and to help serve as a representative within our larger community, and be a voice for what the needs of older adults are. And so I think that I'm really fortunate to be in Chicago and in Illinois. There's just so many wonderful community partners that we work with and other advocates focused on issues like keeping housing affordable and making sure that people have access to programs to help them age at home. So now that's mostly what I'm focused on, is just kind of seeing how we can all come together to help support each other in our different advocacy efforts.
That's really great. Has there been anything that has surprised you about aging, either personally or professionally, that you've seen throughout your career?
Well, there's always surprises. I mean, I think personally, kind of as I watch now my parents' generation age, and I think it's always, I don't know, I'll only speak for myself, but I think it's surprising to know that in your professional area, like how knowledgeable and patient and, reasonable you can be. And then you start seeing the issues that are facing your own parents or your aunts or your uncles. And I don't, and how it being personal can really change the way in which, I react to things. Or I think for me, that's something that I'm just always aware of. I can see myself interacting in a certain way with clients or with others. And then when it's your own personal situation, it hits different.
It definitely resonate with that. When you talk about your work, what excites you? If you're talking to your friends or other professionals or the interns, what really excites you about what you get to do?
I think just the potential to continue to make things better. There are so many issues out there and so many struggles that people are facing, but then we also just have this incredible group of advocates who are working to make things better. And so that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the idea of, well, I think that what we saw in the pandemic was an influx in funding in a lot of different social services, and that came into legal aid as well. And so we had the opportunity for a few years to be creative and to have some innovation in some different models. And I mean, in Chicago, one of those models that that came to be is what's called the Early Resolution Project, which is a early intervention court project where now any body who is eviction involved or consumer involved who are being sued for credit cards or other type of debt, they are instantly put into this early resolution program where they have the opportunity to speak to an attorney at a legal aid organization, and CEDL is one of the partners for this program. And then for that attorney to be able to represent them doing some brief service work. So there's this magic window of time where through the early resolution program, our advocates are trying to work out settlement agreements or do some kind of basic filings if it's past the statute of limitations or if there's another good reason to dismiss the suit. And that's been very cool to see not only that program get built, and it was very much one of those things where, it was just an idea, and then you watched all these super smart people across agencies come together to build this program that now we are 4 years in, and it's just really, really exciting to see what it's become and to also see that it's here to stay. The funding sources that were so specifically earmarked in the pandemic, that's all fading away. But we have this program that was able to be built in that time, which will hopefully sustain well into the future and has been used for models in other jurisdictions as well. So that's just one example of something that was really cool to happen these last few years and that we're very proud to be part of.
What as you said, creative and innovative project. Thank you for sharing about that. As you think to the future, or even right now, what would you say are the most pertinent issues in the field of aging at the moment?
Um, So from our perspective at CEDL and from what we see every day, I mean, I think housing just continues to be a huge, huge issue. The lack of affordable housing, in particular with our renters, it's very, very difficult when people are in challenging circumstances because they are being evicted or because they need to move to an accessible unit. That's another huge problem, is just even having enough housing stock that's accessible for people, not only financially, but if they're using mobility devices, there's just not enough. And it's really an investment that I think not just in Chicago or Cook County or Illinois, but nationwide needs to happen. I mean, you see all the news stories about just how low the housing stock is in general. But then you think about people who need affordable, accessible housing, and we're nowhere close to what we need. The other thing that comes up for our property owners is making sure that they're able to continue to keep their homes affordable as well. And a project that CEDL has really focused on the last few years as well is looking at how do we also make sure that people have succession plans in place for those homes. And so we have a program called the Housing Preservation Project, where we specifically work with lower income older adult homeowners to make sure that, one, they understand the title status of their home. We have so many homes that have been passed down through generations and just the title hasn't been updated, and but making sure people understand that they're taking care of, or they're taking advantage of all property tax exemptions to which they're entitled. Just this week there was a big article that came out in the Chicago Tribune about, and especially in our south suburbs, the property taxes bills went way, way up, and the collection on those most recent property tax bills is very, very low. And so what we know is going to happen is that we're going to have people who fall behind, have people who then are subject to our tax sale in Cook County, and really putting a lot of that housing at risk. So we have a project that's specifically focused on that, and then also making sure that there's that succession plan in place for those homes so that the community stays strong. Because when we have our blocks that end up with vacant homes or homes that are not able to be maintained because the people living there aren't able to tap into the equity in those homes to make things like repairs that are needed. That just kind of, it's like a domino effect for the community. So housing is definitely something that is very much on our radar. And again, we have wonderful partners who are working on these issues as well, and just trying to make sure that we keep the housing that we have available, but really in need to expand it as well.
Yeah, housing insecurity in older adults is definitely a topic that we're hearing a lot about and that we're looking at as well. So thank you for talking about that, because it is something that um, a lot of older adults are facing throughout the country. So um, as we kind of go forward here, what are any words of wisdom that you would have for attorneys that are looking to go into the field of elder law or aging?
Well, certainly for anybody who's in law school, I always say do as many different internships as you can. Um, Try everything out. As I mentioned, I did some criminal law, I did policy with the AARP, I worked at CEDAL, I also did the Cook County Public Guardian here in Chicago, and just kind of having all those experiences and seeing what I liked best, because what I thought I was going to like best wasn't actually my favorite. And it's very unique to get to walk into a workplace, have those team members invest in you and train you, and then that you get to leave 4 months later and there aren't any hard feelings. And so being able to be an intern is just such a unique experience. And so I always tell people, try it out. Try out as many different settings as you can. Even if you find the one that you think is the one while you're a student, you should go and dabble in some other things, because you never know what might be of interest to you. And then you start building that network. And so people who were my internship supervisors to over the years now get to call them my peers has been very exciting and fun as well. Um, and then the other thing I would say, I mean, I think that elder law is just such a great field because there's not, there's no such thing as elder law, right? There's no specific thing where it's like, that's elder law. I mean, elder law is probate, elder law is family law, it's public benefits. I mean, it's everything wrapped up into one, and it's more so just a specific approach to knowing what stage of life someone is in, or to knowing about what future difficulties might look like from different health needs or capacity needs. And so I think it's a very exciting area of law in that you kind of get to be a generalist in a lot of ways, and then have that specific approach to how you interact with and consider the legal issues before you of your clients.
Yes, those are some definitely great suggestions, especially for law students who are looking at the possibility of going into the profession and looking at, what they may um, seek out in the future. So thank you for those suggestions. Do you have anything else to talk about, or to provide as words of wisdom or advice for our podcast listeners?
Um, Words of wisdom. I guess it is a field that I love being part of. I think by and large, a lot of the reason that people enjoy being lawyers is the importance of relationship building and the network that you build. And I imagine that practitioners in probably any area of law would speak to that. But I do think that kind of being in this area, it is still it's kind of like a small universe, and so people do tend to know each other, and really are very open to talking to you, or making those connections and having people pick up the call and lend any area of expertise or advice that they might have. So it's definitely been a good community to be part of, and one that I'm proud to be part of.
Completely agree. I think it's been great to work within the community, and we really appreciate your time today and talking with us. So thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in information on this and other topics, check out our podcast notes on our website. You can also listen to this and other episodes by visiting the ABA Commission on Law and Aging's YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe to be sure to get any updates. We look forward to having you join us in our next episode. In the meantime, keep on advocating for the legal rights of all.